desperate for your thoughts on what perhaps some of the small businesses are telling you about their sentiment, their potential layoffs, and what they desperately need from our government right now.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for asking the question. I think what our CEOs really are looking for is for things to get better quickly. I think that it's amazing how fast the bottom has dropped out, especially for smaller businesses. Cash flow is already a huge problem for many of our members, and they're just looking for ways to improve their businesses in the short term, and they're seeing a bleak future in the next 6 months.
And Elizabeth, curious, when you talk about how they want a quick rebound, what do they tell you that looks like? Is that a $2 trillion stimulus plan? Is it more? What have they specified to you about their specific needs?
I don't think it's a stimulus plan per se. I think they are really looking to boost small to medium-sized businesses in the short term. And oftentimes, our 29,000 CEOs look to each other for help. They want that peer-to-peer connection, and they're leveraging the network of YPO to try to band together and solve their business problems.
Elizabeth, you've said in your notes that Asian CEOs are more likely to have seen a negative impact as a result of COVID-19. Is that still the case, or is this very quickly becoming, equivalent around the world?
The survey that we conducted closed on the 13th of March. I think if we repeated it today, we would see very little difference between Asian chief executives and the rest of the world. It just was the time frame in which we did the original survey. In 5 business days, there's been an extraordinary difference.
Yeah, which is sort of, it's just such a quick moving story, right? Where are you seeing comparatively resilience?
The couple of industry segments where in our survey we saw some resilience was healthcare industry, certain segments of wholesale and retail that maybe are really much more geared towards running to buy in the interim. But we're seeing a huge, huge downturn like the rest of the world in hospitality, retail, other industries that are just decimated.
Curious about the negative feedback loop, Elizabeth, that we're experiencing while China businesses appear to be coming back online as they're on the other side of this virus. They're now seeing a lot of their exports drop because U.S. businesses, U.S. consumers are now on the other side of that, where we're not yet over the hump. What then is that negative feedback loop where then China businesses get hit again because we're not also there to buy and to stimulate?
It's interesting. I think as you mentioned, there is a loop or a cycle to it. And since we are 2 to 3 weeks behind, we're probably 10 days behind Europe at this point in the U.S. And you can definitely see the differences. And it probably will swing back to China and all of Asia as the U.S. starts to get hit more dramatically over the next couple of weeks.
What has been the consensus on what they can do? What's the biggest piece of advice that they could do right now? Is it to watch their debt loads? Is it to have more cash on hand? What if some of these leaders come out and say is the best ways that they've been able to handle other downturns that they can use now to prepare for this?
I think one of the biggest is cash on hand, which you just mentioned, meeting payroll, making quick business decisions and sometimes tough business decisions in light of a crisis where you do need to downsize or reduce your workforce or furlough. You have to protect the whole of the business, and sometimes that means disappointing a few.